Hi everyone, happy Jane Austen July to you. And I am here to tell you about my 9 favorite adaptations of Jane Austen's novels. And then I do have 2 honorable mentions that are in the more kind of silly, outrageous category, but that I am fond of nonetheless. So in the number 1 spot, or maybe actually I'll count down. That's what I'll do. So in the 9th position is the Lizzie Bennet Diaries. These are it's a short form YouTube series that is a modern adaptation. And Lizzie Bennet is making a documentary with her friend Charlotte at a time when some new people come into their lives. Lizzie's mother is desperate for her to remarry, and you follow their adventures while Lizzie is documenting all of this. It is such a fun series and just a really clever way to adapt things into the modern world. And right now, the main star, Ashley Clements, who played Lizzie Bennet, is doing the Look Back Diaries because it has now been 10 years since it originally went up, which is really crazy. But I have vivid memories of being really excited. It would come on, I think it was Tuesdays and Thursdays. There was a new episode, and I would watch while I was a nanny. I would wait for the little boy to nap so that I could watch the newest episode, because they're not very long. They're like at most, I think, 12 minutes, and usually shorter than that. So yes, just so much fun. And then in position number 8 is Emma Approved, which is the modern adaptation of Emma by Jane Austen. And in this one, Emma runs a matchmaking agency. And I just really love the dynamics, the chemistry between the different actors. I really enjoy the different clothing that Emma wears. Her clothing is so beautiful. And it is, she does play the character of Emma Woodhouse, who can really make some big blunders. So there are some rough parts in it as you're watching, but overall, it's just such a marvelous adaptation, and I really love it. Then coming in at number 7 is the 1995 Emma featuring Gwyneth Paltrow. This was the first Emma that I watched. And I remember just being so captivated by it. My sister came home from college and she and her friend just were quoting this the whole weekend. And I was like, I really want to watch this. I need to see this now. And so I'm very nostalgic about it because it's one of the first adaptations that I really fell in love with. And it's a very cozy, calm kind of adaptation to watch. Then coming in at number 6 is the 2008 Northanger Abbey that came out. And this is one of those very much like bread and butter adaptations. And I love it that it tells you the story. There is one little scene that I'm like, ooh, that is a bit much. But it tells you the story and it does it so delightfully. And the pacing, I think, is perfect. It is sparkling and brilliant, and just how Northanger Abbey feels, and captures Catherine's very dramatic imagination in a way that's really charming. And yes, it's just fabulous. And then at number 5 is the 2008 Sense and Sensibility. This one is out of the 2 main Sense and Sensibility adaptations. This one has more kind of emotional upheaval, and it's when I want to go on a deeper kind of emotional ride, this is the one that I turn to. And I find the seaside cottage scenes so cozy, and I feel like I am so in the story when I am watching this adaptation, and I love the soundtrack for it. And there's one scene, I would say overall, this one feels a bit more faithful to the novel Sense and Sensibility. But there's one scene that is completely not in the text, but I totally, feel like the artistic license that they took to put that scene in there. And if you've seen it, you probably know what I'm talking about. It makes sense that it would have happened. And yeah, it's just done so well. And I think the ages of the actors are a bit more appropriate in this one as opposed to the other Sense and Sensibility. And more on that one later. So then coming in at number 4 is the 1995 Persuasion. This, the day, everything around me melts away when I watch this. I love that this is unrelentingly slow in its pacing. The first time that I watched it, I was very confused about what was happening in the story and who kind of knew who was related to whom. And it's very quiet and understated. And now I really appreciate that about it. I think it's definitely an adaptation for fans of the book. I came to it then a couple years later after I had read the book, and I appreciated it so much more. And I love the subtle changes that they make in Anne's appearance throughout it. And Ciarán Hinds just makes for this really magnetic Captain Wentworth with this quiet strength about him, just this strong, noble man. He's so perfect for the role of Wentworth. And I really love this adaptation. I wish there was a complete movie score out there for it, but unfortunately, there just is not. Then coming in at number 3 is the 1995 Sense and Sensibility. And this one, even though it is slightly less faithful to the book, it's the one that I slightly prefer more. I think because sometimes I have to be in the right mood for the 2008 Sense and Sensibility, but this Sense and Sensibility I'm in the mood for on any given day. I don't think I could tire of this film. I love the chemistry between Emma Thompson and Kate Winslet in this, and Alan Rickman as Colonel Brandon, and Hugh Grant as Edward Ferrars, and Imelda Staunton is in it, Hugh Laurie, Gemma Arterton, I think is her name, who plays their mother. Just so much, so many good things that are in this movie, and the Jennings family, and it's just so calming. The soundtrack is beautiful. It's one of my favorite soundtracks to have on just in general, and I love the character of Margaret in this one as well. And yes, it's all just adds up to this delicious, delicious film adaptation. Yes, so good. And then coming in at number 2 is the 2009 Emma with Romola Garai and Johnny Lee Miller. This is one that I couldn't believe how much I loved it, because I really did enjoy the Gwyneth Paltrow Emma. And I'm very excited to watch the Gwyneth Paltrow Emma because it's been a long time. I can't remember the last time that I watched it. And so I'm very excited to watch that one. But I know that I just love the long format of the 2009 Emma. And I am nostalgic about this one as well because one of my college friends, she had a babysitting gig on Sunday evenings, but the kids were a lot older, and the mom just had to work, and she wanted somebody physically in the house with them just to make sure they were okay. And so it was very low-key babysitting, and we would all go upstairs into this cozy attic room with the TV, and I think it ended up being about 10 of us, and we each week faithfully were going to watch Emma, and it was just so magical, this adaptation, just between all of the costumes, and the soundtrack is so beautiful, and Romola Garai makes just such a wonderful, wonderful Emma, and Michael Gambon as Mr. Woodhouse, I'm trying to remember the actress that plays Mrs. Bates. I really do love Mrs. Bates in this one. They make her a really well-rounded character, and I appreciate that about it. And then we get to the number 1 spot, and that is the 1995 Pride and Prejudice, featuring Colin Firth as Mr. Darcy, and then Jennifer Ely as Elizabeth Bennet. Now, I'm going to say something controversial here. I actually do prefer kind of the cast of the 2005 Pride and Prejudice. But it's been years since I watched that, and I know that now I love the pacing of the 1995 Pride and Prejudice so much that the 2005 is not even on this list. But I am excited. I'm going to watch it this year. I think it's been about 5 years since I watched it. I just hope that I can kind of treat them as 2 different separate things, because I know that the 2006 Jane Eyre miniseries is marvelous, but I really do, lately I've been more drawn to the 2011 Jane Eyre cinematic release because it is just such a marvelous work of art to watch. So I do know that I do prefer Matthew Macfadyen as Darcy because he's just more expressive. Colin Firth, I really like him, and in other movies I really love him, but it's just he is so deadpan basically the entire time that he plays Darcy. And I get it. Like, I get that interpretation of Darcy, but I just need a little bit more hint of warmth. And I find that Matthew Macfadyen gives that. And also, I really love Brenda Blethyn, I think is her name, as Mrs. Bennet. I think that Mrs. Bennet in the 1995 is really exaggerated. And unfortunately, I think the actress who plays Jane Bennet is really, really boring. I think Rosamund Pike in the 2005 Pride and Prejudice is a more, she captures that quietness of Jane while also being an interesting character to watch. So all that being said, you know, the acting choices, like if I could plop one of the actors in the newer adaptations, but into the 1995 one, I would. But I still really, really love this one. I just love how leisurely it is. Now, this is one I will not be watching in Jane Austen July. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, you will know that it is our New Year's Eve tradition. And so we start watching it on New Year's Eve. We'll pause, you know, for meals, or we'll have it on with our supper, but we take the entire day and we divide it up over the day, and it's just really fun to watch it that way. I will say this year, the dreaded thing that's been going around everywhere, I won't even say the word, it happened. It struck in our household around Christmas time, and I felt fine, but my husband, he would not have felt, it's like he wasn't even up for walking to the couch and laying down and watching a movie. So sadly, we did not keep up the tradition this last New Year's Eve. So I'm extra antsy to watch it, but I really love anticipating it and looking forward to it at that time of year. Yes, so that is my top 9 ranking. Now, I have 2 honorable mentions, and these are very, very silly. They're very out there, but I love them. I really, really do love them. And the first one is the 2003 Pride and Prejudice, and the official title is Pride and Prejudice, a Latter-day Comedy. It is put out by a Mormon company, and it is set in modern-day Salt Lake City. Lizzie Bennet, in this one, the other girls are her roommates. Jane is her best friend, and Lydia and Kitty are sisters. And then Mary is another friend, and they all live in a house together. And it's just, you have to see it to believe it. It's one of those that is just so outrageous and over the top, and like the music choices are weird and the outfits they wear are weird, but it's one that I can't help myself but enjoy it while I'm watching it. So it's one of those, if you're like, Kate, how endorse this? I think it's just going to be bonkers, okay? You need to go in knowing that, but I'm kind of really fond of it. So with my Kindred Spirits Club, we're actually going to be watching it together over July. We need to coordinate our schedules and figure out a time, but I'm excited for it. And then the other one that I cannot believe I am saying this, okay? So just prepare yourself. But Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, starring Lily James as Lizzie Bennet. I can't remember the name of the fellow who plays Mr. Darcy, but this is what I could not have ever predicted that I would have enjoyed. But it is extremely well done. There are some more kind of gross graphic parts, and my husband was like really creeped out by it. But it's just fabulous acting, and it's interesting, and it's intense and suspenseful. And I'm sure Jane Austen rolled over in her grave when it came out, but it's fun. I can't help but enjoy it. So there it is. It is not canon at all. I realize that. So those are my rankings. Please let me know your favorites, and I look forward to chatting with you in the comments. I hope you are having a great Jane Austen July. Thank you as always for watching, and I will be back with another video soon. Bye.